Welcome back to Outer Travel in a Journey. My name is Alexandra, and today on my show is Bettina Semmer. Hello, Bettina. How are you?
Hi, Alex. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm actually good, yeah, enjoying the mild October weather at the moment. But yeah, for those who haven't heard about Bettina so far, she is a visual artist residing in Berlin. And we come together today to talk a little bit about the concept of journeying, because this podcast is about like journeying. And my idea is always, we always do things on the outside until we realize we have to also move in. And Bettina threw this all over the haystack and said, like, no, I'm not journeying. I'm in constant chaos
Well, I have not always been in Berlin.
of,
I've been here 21 years. I've been from Düsseldorf to Münster to Hamburg to London to Baden-Baden and now in Berlin. And all these outer journeys,
hmm,
and also my trips to India and to Western Sahara, of course, enriched my life a lot. You know,
hmm,
you meet people that you would otherwise not meet, and you get to know lifestyles and philosophies,
yeah,
the hospitality, the
yeah,
kindness of people, and all the wonderful spiritual concepts that exist in the world. And of course, that has fed into my art and has, yeah, in many ways also instigated inner journeys. I would
hmm,
not separate these two. I mean,
hmm,
I can imagine there are people who only travel outside, you know, who go to Dominican Republic and stay in a hotel resort and
yeah.
only, you know, meet themselves. But you know,
Maybe we can start with something very basic to bring this more into a timeline that doesn't really exist. We both know that, but when you became an artist, what was the driving desire? What was it that you wanted to do, or what drew you into that in the first place?
I was an artist. I did not decide, you know, now
Ah,
I'm going to be an artist.
yeah.
I was studying at university, other subjects, and one day one fellow student said to me, I'm going to apply for art school. I say, there's an art school here? Münster, that was. It was a part of Düsseldorf. And then I said, okay, I'll do that too. And next day I was in, and a few weeks later I was accepted. So, you know,
Mm,
it always felt very normal to me. I had my first exhibition when I was 17, and
wow.
I did not make that decision. Only it was difficult sometimes, and then I thought maybe I have chosen the wrong path because money-wise it was not always so easy.
Mm,
But yeah, then I can tell you when I neglected my art, what happened to me is I got very ill.
really?
And
Wow.
then when I had the diagnosis, that was in 1999,
Mm,
it was a watershed for me. I said, I will never neglect my art again. I will always, you know,
yeah.
attend to this part of me that I so desperately need.
Yeah.
And because, you know, art is an expression for me for many things. It's an outlet for chaos, inner emotions that, you know, that don't get easily accepted by other people. You know, it's a very
Mm,
wild force, and we have a very
mm,
structured society where,
mm.
you know, even in school, I was a school teacher for a while. The children get very hemmed in into narrow
Yeah.
confines.
Yeah.
And for me, art is an outlet to be anarchic, to live the chaos, to surf the waves of chaos.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the both things, that we all kind of come in, and I kind of gave a glance at that saying, like, we know time doesn't really exist, in that sense of chaos, that time is just a concept. And and you kind of come up with this idea that people feel chaotic inside, or is that something that you think everybody inhabits, or is it something a few people inhabit and they need release, like you need it through art, or
No,
what is
I
the
think art
idea?
would be good for everyone. I mean, everyone should make some art and let out inner chaos. But of course, people are different. I mean, there are some who are too structured, yeah,
Yeah,
who live a life of a bureaucrat,
yeah.
and others that feel too chaotic. I mean, I wouldn't say they are, but they feel overwhelmed by the inner chaos, and they
Hmm.
need more structure. So
Hmm.
I wouldn't want to speak for other people. It's just what I do, and
Yeah.
I don't know. What is it for you?
Yeah, thanks for asking, because to mind comes that chaos is movement, and wild movement, as you named it before, and we both love the art of Ayurveda, that kind of idea of that life is holistic and that we learn from nature and everything has its balance. So when I think of chaos, I always go like, oh no, chaos. As a person, I like structure, but not to extent that it becomes neurotic. I can see when it kind of spirals into that sense of, having to control the things, having to have the same rhythm, having to have the same food every time, all the time. And chaos is, in that sense, as you say, an expression of allowing things to come back into balance to me. Like chaos for me means, as a person who likes to have an idea of the beginning and the end, the morning and the night, these kind of polar opposites. Chaos is the mini movements in between, where I accept that I'm not only me, myself, and I, but that there's larger forces at hand. So that's chaos to me. Some people, as you say, some people need chaos for curing, and some people need order and rhythm for curing. So it's very hard to determine which is the better force as such. So
I would replace that maybe with aliveness, liveliness.
mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
um, when you oppress emotions,
yeah.
when they are sanctioned, like from
Mm.
childhood, our strong emotions are sanctioned. Don't be angry, or anger is being punished.
Mm.
Of course,
Yeah,
we cannot let out our anger unfiltered as an adult. Otherwise, it's war. But we can voice our feelings in a civilized manner, and but many people have not learned that, and they get they go into freeze mode. Yeah,
mm. Mm.
there's different
Mm.
modes of dealing with that,
Mm.
and some people fight unfiltered. They get they feel attacked and they fight,
Yeah.
and other people go into flight mode.
Mm.
So in order to be alive, to be live, to live your full personality, you need to take in you to even receive, or to have some receptacles for your body, for your emotions, and then let them go through them. um, and that can be very quick, the passing through of emotions, as we both know from a great teacher that we listen to,
Mm.
can pass in 7 seconds. But when you keep them down and they boil inside you,
Mm.
um, that makes you sick. Yeah, people get sick. They get cancer from not attending to their emotions, not attending to their needs.
Yeah, and how, you spoke about earlier, if we can rewind for a moment, about becoming ill and noticing that it was the art or the self-expression that you were missing that kind of threw you into the deep ends of, I don't know how severe that was, but it sounded traumatic. The disease is not just like, it didn't sound like a cold. So where did you make that link? How did you come to that form of, you know, noticing that the two are
I don't know
connected?
where I got this knowledge from. I had a feeling that it was the second chakra, and the second chakra is creativity and procreation, um, and that was affected.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I just
Yeah, it was a hunch that you had, so to speak.
it was just a feeling, and I
Yeah.
started from day
No.
one. I said,
Yeah.
okay, now
Yeah.
go wild, do something crazy on the canvas.
Yeah.
I was painting portraits of children for a long time, um, to earn some money, and yeah,
Hmm.
and suddenly I was still doing that. I'm actually showing them next month in Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
One of them. That's my
Yes.
daughter.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of red color also. And the big painting behind me, I did with my daughter. That
Hmm.
was also kind of workaround, but also was a concept to take her into the studio when she was 1.5 to 3.
Hmm.
And we painted together. So there was a kind of divide, there was a negotiation of space,
Hmm.
which is very easy with a small child. They can only reach so high, so above that was me. But I also prepared it for her and I gave her the space. Later, I turned the canvases so she could use all the space. And it was great. It was a great lesson to learn, to have that relationship with your child, that she's also you both cooperating. She's also a part of your art.
Hmm. And part of your art is also really going into the, I wouldn't say unspoken of territory, but you give lessons in tie and draw, or you kind of host tie and draw. And I think that is, you look at me like, what is she saying? I'm trying to find the right word for it. It's something, I think sexuality is one of the things, because you mentioned the second chakra as well, and that's kind of self-expression and sexuality and, rebirthing, recreating something into life. And a lot of our, we talked about repression through society, or through how we are being lined and cued into life so that we can be in a functional society. We also have to accept that. But when we come to sexuality, there's a lot of things that people don't talk about and that feel weird because they're not out there. And when I saw that you do tie and draw, it was a little bit like, yeah, I like drawing, but I had never thought about tie and draw. How did that come to life? And is that part of your chaos and self-expression must, or no? It's
No, no, it's a way of teaching and combining something I find aesthetically beautiful,
yeah.
and also yeah, maybe marginally sexually interesting, but it's not my kink to do bondage or shibari. I
Mm.
like um, I like to put new challenges to people, and it was a
Ah.
drawing course. It was a drawing
Ah.
class,
Yeah.
with combined with shibari, because there you can um, hold poses and you can add interest to the model that divides up the body into sections.
Ah.
You kind of you see the body in a different way.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
not only did or do I do shibari and life drawing, nude drawing, but also for a while before Corona set in and stopped us, I was doing a bondage and consent course,
Mm.
and
Mm.
that was very interesting because the Wheel of Consent by Bette Martin.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very wonderful tool, and she gave that as an open source to the world, to really find out your own boundaries, but also voice your wishes.
Mm.
And that is something
Mm.
nobody learns
Mm.
in school or anywhere.
Yeah.
A lot of, and especially women, a lot of them think, oh, I'll just let this happened to me, and then I'll get over it, I can deal with it. And but that is not the point of having an intimate contact with someone, yeah? Not,
Yeah.
never mind, full sex, but even touching someone here or there,
Yeah.
or kissing or something can really easily spiral into a non-consensual situation. And to explore that, I use the tool of Betty Martin, Wheel of Consent. It's a wonderful tool. And
Yeah.
then comes in the bondage. There is even, it's even more a danger zone because you can get hurt, not just, psychologically traumatized, but you can get nerve damage and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then we combine that.
Wonderful. I'm still trying to really dig into that field of chaos. The way we started out, you said there is no journey, there is chaos. Can you come back to what made you say that originally when we started out this conversation on the private end of this conversation? Or this is what I heard. There is, like, what is it that fascinates you also about chaos, and how do you find that everything already is? That sounded to you made like a real high philosophical statement at the very beginning of our private conversation, dear listener. You weren't there yet, and it really blew me because it's such a good way to blow open your mind and let go of these kind of concepts of I, me, mine, I would call them. So can you talk a little bit more about that, Bettina?
Yes, I don't know. It's just it's a statement that now I have to live up to.
No pressure here.
We have an immense capacity. We are much more powerful than we think.
Yeah.
And usually things happen to us, like we say, don't have an accident, and then we have an accident because we prime the subconscious. The subconscious does not hear negative. So when you say, don't lose your keys to a child, they will definitely lose their keys.
Yeah.
So this is the power of the mind, or the power of the word, to be spoken into the universe, and then you're surprised about the outcome,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you should listen to your intuition, listen to the words you speak, and even to the words you think, because you are so powerful that these things can materialize very quickly before you know it. This is
Yeah.
what fascinates me at the moment. And also I read that by Picasso, his development. He said, I never developed. I'm the same as I was 50 years ago, and that I would say too. I am the same. I use chaos in my paintings, and then I structure it. The chaos is creativity. In the chaos comes images. Leonardo spoke about this. You look at the wall, the irregular patterns, and suddenly you see things, and suddenly you have ideas about it. If you only look at grids and patterns, orderly patterns, then you never think something new. Where is the newness coming from? The newness comes out of letting a bit of chaos into your life.
Yeah.
That is, you have to get out of the stagnation. And that, of course, you could call that development. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the same, but
Yeah.
the inner, potential, the inner makeup is similar. It's very, very similar to when I was 21.
I totally hear you. It's the idea of often in the Vedic tradition, they talk about dharma, the one thing you came with that is a way of you expressing yourself, and it develops. You know, a lot of people think when you talk about this magic word dharma, I haven't found my dharma, what is my purpose, you know. But what I hear you saying from my knowledge of that language is that what you feel you're reconnecting with, and what you see probably also now with hindsight, becoming older and being an artist for a very long time, that is an essence in you that is expressing itself constantly and coming forward in new ways all the time, and that is the growth part,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Mm.
But I'm also a universalist and a campaigner. So
Mm.
the universalist in me wants to try other fields of work, you know,
Yeah.
and other fields of expressing myself. So with these workshops, for example, that deal on the margins, they are bordering on, you know, the hedonist,
Mm.
sex positive,
Yeah.
spaces of Berlin that only Berlin, allows, give
Mm.
permission
Mm.
to live that.
Mm.
So there I'm exploring fields that are not nothing to do with work really. It's a hobby maybe. And then I've
Mm.
explored also my kind of journalistic,
Mm.
communicative side, and also with the
Mm.
teaching that is passing on, you know, your knowledge. And so in a way, yeah, I also campaigned for causes that, you know, I don't want to speak about this now, but
No.
as a universalist, you cannot do one thing all your life. You have
Mm.
to, yeah, kind of spread up, branch out a bit, and then bring it all in again. And
I totally get it, because I used to, I mean, for a very long time, I did yoga, but I didn't stick with the yoga itself, but I needed to do other things. And from these other perspectives, even drawing or doing kanji or learning stuff like that, from that perspective, I could return to the place that kind of felt like union, and that brought union to me. So you say as a universalist, I hadn't heard that terminology before, but I feel it's the same. It's like we get inspired by the world, and as we talk about patterns, you know, like we see that there are similar patterns in different ways of doing, and they are being approached from different angles, maybe from a more wilder angle or more restrained angle. That's how I see it, you know, that there is a pattern in the world, because we're talking about chaos and patterns right here, and
yeah,
forces,
yes.
that you know, I was kind of looking back on my notes right now and saw that word wild force you used earlier, you know, and like when I hear wild force, I get a little bit frightened and I get a little bit ignited. And I think that is exactly why I wanted to talk to you, because I think we all in society feel this pull and push of that force, you know, that wild force. And a lot of us kind of are trapped then in the fear, or we think it's respect or whatever it is, or self-preservance or whatever it is. What can you talk a little bit to me about it? How did you deal with that? Because obviously you feel quite comfortable with that wild force.
Mm, yeah, it gets difficult in relationships sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Mm. But recently I found ways, you know, and you also inspired me to do that,
Mm.
to resolve conflict in the intimate, honest sharing, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that you don't judge what other people say to you, and you see that is theirs, and you listen, you hear their emotions, you hear their opinions, and you just listen to it, and then you say yours. And
Mm.
then easily, you know, people haven't trained in this field
Yeah.
to honest sharing. They think they have to now judge it and say, in this you're right, and another point you're not right, you know. And it's not about right and wrong. That's why on my WhatsApp I have this beautiful saying by Rumi, you
Mm.
know,
Mm.
beyond being right and beyond being wrong,
Yeah.
there's a field. I'll meet you there.
Yeah, and it's about truth, isn't it? I mean, we think there is like a truth like in a law or something like we live in the world of laws, and somebody says this you can do and this you can't do, otherwise you're going to be punished. And so we kind of start to blend truth into a form where people can judge us. And that coming from that incentive of just allowing to say the things that are true for you and somebody else having to witness that is where this wild force comes into play that kind of rebalances us. That's what I feel. And this is what I'm also trying to engage with in the rest of my life, not only in my relationship, but also to accept, like you accepted, is like, I'm going to do art. Okay, I'm trying the traditional way. That's my interpretation. I become a school teacher, make money, pass it on. And then at the same time, that wasn't, it didn't sound like it was your path. And to me, it's the same. I think I need to do things in a certain way, offer them in a certain way. And then this kind of expression doesn't harmonize with my own inner truth. And this is where I feel the wildness, so to speak, in quotation marks. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that also being a teacher was in my path. It's so enriched me, it gave me so much insight and I learned so much about art and I had a good influence on children, hopefully. Sometimes I meet them sometimes at festivals and they say,
Yeah.
that was so fantastic what you did, and
Yeah.
of course, you don't meet them, those people who hated it, but
The,
even standing in front of a class is surfing the chaos. You have 25 individuals. They create chaos every moment, and your job is to contain that. And often times, our way of teaching is to contain it too much instead of letting the creative potential of that chaos go its own way, and then pick up the threads that they offer you and bring it into a form and help them understand themselves better. What is the driving force? Why do I interrupt the lesson? There must be something useful in it, and and that is in art. Teaching art is different than teaching math. It's really working with that which is in them.
yeah. So why did you stop? That would be the
No, I was
logical question.
exhausted. I was exhausted. I mean, it was in my path, but you don't need to do that beyond 7 or 14 years. I did it for 14 years and did 2 sabbaticals in which I tried to build another source of income. I had a gallery. It was a project space, and I ran that with my money from the teaching. And the moment when people started calling me a gallerist, I closed it because I didn't identify. All these identifications, they're bullshit. I'm not. I mean, I call myself a visual artist because that's the thing I did the longest, and that also, yeah.
Yeah.
In the past 7 years or so, I had some success that kind of connected to the first success I had in the 80s. So yeah, in a way, it's now a continuum, but it could have gone another way. If I hadn't been so exhausted by the school teaching, maybe I would have stayed there until my old age pension.
Yeah, but I like what you said because I find it inspiring as always, Bettina. It's like that we can wear different sleeves or different kind of roles. And I loved that you kind of reflected back to me that there was almost a judgment by me in that statement, reframing what you said. And I made it a judgment. Oh yeah, that wasn't your path, but it was your path, as you said, but you were wise enough, let's say it that way, then, to let that role die. And I think that's what chaos is also about. In chaos theory, we have to hit the bottom to come back up. To me, chaos is like a wave, so to speak. It's like this pulsation of more energy, less energy. And this less energy also means to find a way of letting things die and not having concepts of sadness around it or wrongdoing around it, as you kind of quoted Rumi earlier, you know, right and wrong. What is that in any way? And it's easy to find these quotes nice, but it's really hard to live them. So you're obviously, to me, in that sense, a walking, you know, like you're walking into that field out there and trying to not judge the one or the other thing. And that takes a lot of heart and courage and, you know, conviction almost. I feel like you're, you know, to be really convinced of what we do and what we love, right?
Yeah. And also, you know, I'm walking into probably the last third of my life in terms of, how many years do I have, you know, and the body will, of course, not get easily as strong as in your youth, you know.
Yeah.
So you kind of, you swipe away all these judgments, what is connected with old age, and you say, okay, now I'm going to ballet. Now I do things that are totally outrageous. And I'm constantly amazed, you know, oh, this I can do at my age.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, kind of surprise yourself what is possible. It's wonderful. And attend to the body. I think that is so important. The body is your vessel, is your temple, is everything. Without the body is a precious gift, you know. Then please do something for it. Treat it well,
Yeah. Yeah.
and use it well, and listen to it.
Exactly. And you're saying that right at the time, because today is Diwali, the festival of light, where Dhanvantari was born, who is the god of Ayurveda. And Ayurveda is all about, you know, that churning of the balances and bringing light and darkness together, or kind of coming out of the darkness into light, into this polarity, and then coming into the body as well, which kind of allows us to experience duality, the dark and the light. So as we're coming to an end, I really love what you said there at the end. And is there something that you want to pass on to the listener or watcher, you know, like from your own perspective? Is there something like a jewel you harbor and want to pass on?
Stay alive.
Stay alive.
or die trying.
Yeah, or die trying. No, stay alive. Absolutely. And to me, the emphasis is, of course, of aliveness, which you talked about earlier. Thank you so much. Yeah, totally get it. Stay alive. It's not over until it is, right? Thank you for coming to this show, Bettina.
Asking me, Alexandra. And
let's rock on. Onwards and upwards. Thank you, dear listener, for listening in to this beautiful conversation with Bettina, full of chaos, full of wisdom, full of everything. And I hope to see you the next time.